everybody, my name is Tanya and this is a wrap up of my 2015 reading goals. So as you may or may not remember, I ended up setting myself quite a lot of reading goals in 2015. I did a few videos about different goals I set myself at the start of last year. I'll link those videos down below, although I don't know why you'd really want to revisit them now, but in any case. And I did a mid-year check-in as well, kind of looking at how I was travelling and which goals I was wanting to go forward with and which ones maybe I didn't worry about so much. So I ended up setting myself quite a lot of goals. I had some success, I had some failure, but in either case I'm really happy with what I read during 2015. I'm not at all disappointed with what I have or haven't achieved. What is what is. But I got a little enthusiastic with setting goals at the start of the year. When I set these goals, they were kind of a level that my pre-booktube self could achieve, but I wasn't really taking into account the effect that booktube would have on my reading this year, and being more involved with the booktube community and making more amazing friends through this past year, particularly the second half of 2015 has just been amazing. But that meant that I was doing more buddy reads as the year went on, and more buddy reads means less time for the reading goals that you've set yourself, unless you're able to make them gel together, and some of them I did. But my focus changed and my priorities changed, in that there were these goals that I set myself as a solo person to do, but suddenly there's this whole community of people to get involved with and to participate in things that are kind of outside yourself. And I think that was more important for me later in the year. So some of the stuff I kind of just let go by the wayside in terms of reading goals, and I'm perfectly happy with that. So I'm just going to run through all of the goals that I had set myself and talk a little bit about whether or not I achieved it and, you know, the reasonings behind all of that, and let's just get into it. The first goal that I set myself in 2015 was my school books project, and this is something that has completely fallen away basically. The idea was 2015 was my 10-year anniversary since I graduated high school, and I've been meaning to reread some of my school texts for quite some time, so I thought, you know, 2015 being my 10 years would be a good opportunity to go back and revisit all of those books. I did get a fair way through. I read up to partway through my year 11 texts. Year 11 and 12 were where the bulk of the texts were, so I'd been reading smaller, easier things and not so many things per year up to that point. But I did get all the way through to some of the books I read in year 11. I think during my August check-in of how I was going, my mid-year check-in, that was probably where I was at that point in time, and I haven't really made any progress since then. I don't think I've made any progress since then. I still would like to go back and revisit these books at some point in time, but whenever it happens, it happens. I am not making that a targeted goal anymore. I also have been planning on making a video series about those books. That didn't go very far either. I think I only put out a couple of videos. They weren't kind of going the way I was wanting, and realizing that these books are really not of all that much interest to any other people, particularly the early stuff. So when I go back and read the later things, maybe I'll talk a little bit more about that then. But basically this one was an uncompleted goal, and that's perfectly okay. The second goal that I set myself for 2015 was the BookTube Recommends project, which was absolutely amazing. So this was where I got 12 different booktubers to recommend a book to me, and I pick one out of my TBR jar every month to read during that month, and I was recommended some absolutely amazing books during this time, and it's been such an absolutely rewarding experience. I have not quite finished. I am carrying a book over into January that I started in December, my last one, which is Triggers in Brooklyn. I didn't quite get that finished in 2015 in December, but it's definitely high on my priority list for January. As part of this, I've been doing an individual review video for each of the books that I've read during the challenge. I am a few videos behind at the moment. I've got one filmed and a couple that I need to film, and then a Triggers in Brooklyn when I finish it, so they are still coming, but I count this one as a success. The next challenge that I set myself in 2015 was the Goodreads challenge, so the Goodreads challenge where you set a number of books you want to read for the year. I set that at 80 because I wasn't too concerned about the number that I read. I have in the past liked to get to 100, but I'm not, it's not about the number for me necessarily. It's great to read lots of books, but that's not my main focus. I ended up the year with 125 books, which was fantastic. I think maybe a little bit overboard. I'll talk more about my 2016 goals in a separate video, but basically if I can scale that back a bit and actually read less next year, I would be perfectly happy with that. I think I'd like to slow things down, but I will talk more about that soon. So yes, I definitely achieved the 80. I think I achieved the 80 when I did my mid-year check-ins, the August video that I did. I think I'd read 80 books by then, and that I finished off with 125, which is probably the biggest year that I've ever had in terms of reading since I've tracked it, and I'd say probably ever. That does include a variety of sizes of things, and also I've been reading graphic novels this year, but not all that many of them. So it was a huge number, and like I said, I feel like I don't need to be reading that much. My next goal was my Agatha Christie reading chronologically project, which you will have heard me talk about throughout the year. Again, there's an individual video that I did about this probably this time last year, which I'll link down below. But basically, I'm in my 4th year, about to head into my 5th year now, of reading through the works of Agatha Christie chronologically. And each year I've been reading 12 in the year, and my goal for this year was to read them spaced out throughout the year, so one every month. Some of the years that I've been doing this, I've gone through and made sure I've read one Agatha Christie a month. In 2014, I know I had a big clump at the end of the year because I'd been sidetracked and I hadn't been reading them, so the goal that I set myself for 2015 was to make sure that I went back to reading one Agatha Christie a month. I did achieve this. I think there was one day that I finished like half an hour into the next month, so just past midnight. Not really worried about that, so I count this one as a yes. I've read my 12 Agatha Christies for the year, and I'm really enjoying this project. I've still got years to go, and she's just wonderful. The next goal I'd set myself was to do with the 1001 books you must read before you die list. I set myself the goal of reading 25 books from the list, so I would get to the point of 275 by the end of the year, in the hopes that I would then read 25 books next year and get to the milestone of 300 books. I didn't quite make this. I did get 20 books read, however, which I'm really happy with. I know when I checked in August, I'd only read 7 at that point in time, so I've done a pretty good job to get up to 20, and, you know, that still gets me in the realm of being able to reach 300 next year, perhaps. My next challenge was to keep making progress on a 30 before 30 list, which, again, I have done a video about, which I'll link down below, but 30 books you should read before age 30 that I've been working on. And my goal for the year was to read 3, which is kind of the average that I should be reading per year to make it by the time I'm 30. That didn't quite happen. I finished 1 book for the year and made progress on 2 others, but didn't quite get there. That's okay. I've still got a couple of years till I turn 30, so it's not critical yet. The next challenge I set myself is something that I've harped on about a lot this year, and that is to do with the Book Riot Quarterly box, and to be reading the contents of a box before I get the next one. I've had some success and fail throughout the year on this. There were times that I was all caught up, and then others that I've lagged behind. I'm a bit behind again. I think I've been reading the last book from the 7th box for a couple of months now, and just I'm not far to go, but I'm just not picking that one up. So I've got the contents of the 8th box here, with the 9th box arriving any time now, so I'm about to go back to being behind. I've really been enjoying the quarterly box for the different books it's getting, but I'm, you know, starting to question whether or not I'm going to keep my subscription. The price is only going up with the Australian dollar, you know, being so poor at the moment, and also the shipping to Australia. It is pushing the price up and up for me, and while I've been getting some really great stuff in it, it's only, you know, adding that pressure to myself of trying to read the books, and I've had a couple of duds lately that I wasn't so keen on, so I'm kind of tossing up at the moment whether it's really worth it. So I might actually cancel my subscription after this next one arrives. I'll kind of see how I feel when I receive the next one, but I'm thinking maybe I might cancel that one. But, you know, I'm not that far behind. I've been reading some of them. I've got some really fantastic stuff in the boxes, so... And then the last one, yes, we're finally here. The last challenge that I kind of tentatively looked at at the start of 2015, and I kind of put aside when I checked in August, was the Book Riot Read Harder challenge. I haven't checked what I ended up on. I kind of decided with everything else that was going on, that was on the back burner. I didn't really mind, and that's okay. So going through all those challenges, there are probably a few more fails than there were succeeds, but as I said, I'm really happy with the reading that I've done this year. I've read some amazing books, I've read some books with some amazing people, and there's been a great amount of variety that I'm really happy with. I haven't really looked statistic-wise, you know, analysed what my reading sat at. But either way, I'm comfortable with what I've read this year, and that's all that matters. So let me know down in the comments how you went with your 2015 reading goals, and if we have any of the same ones. As always, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!